Oh,
All right, and welcome to this special episode of Realtor Fight Club. I can't talk today, but this series is called "What Would You Do?" and where we talk about ethics and professional standards, committee cases and scenarios, and we weigh in and figure out what would we do. So today with us we have Rachael Real from Rachael Real Estate in Chicago. Hey, Rachel.
hey Jen, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm glad to be back.
Good. All right. You got a good one for us today?
I do, and I picked this one because typically around the first of the year, agents start to think about maybe making a change in brokerage. So this case kind of talks about what you might do to get yourself in a pickle if you start advertising under your new brokerage. So I
Oh,
thought this would be a good one to
that'd
talk
be a
about.
good one. Okay.
Yes, a little timely. Okay, so this one revolves around Article 12, Standard of Practice 12-7 of the Realtor Code of Ethics.
Okay.
So, Article 12 states that realtors shall be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and shall present a true picture in their advertising, marketing, and other representations. Realtors shall ensure that their status as real estate professionals is readily apparent in their advertising, marketing, and other representation, and that the recipients of all real estate communications are or have been notified that those communications are from a real estate professional.
Okay.
Standard of Practice 12-7 says only realtors who participated in the transaction as the listing broker or cooperating broker, also known as the selling broker, may claim to have sold the property. Prior to closing, a cooperating broker may post a sold sign only with the consent of the listing broker.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no.
Are you already violating it? We haven't even talked about the case yet.
Wait a minute. Let me back up. Read that again.
Do you do that? Prior to closing, a
How did I?
cooperating broker may post a sold sign
Oh,
only with the
prior. No,
consent.
no, 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 no.
Okay,
After.
okay. Oh, okay, good. Oh,
We're
then yes. So do you post them afterwards
I mean, sometimes if I
or
have the
closing?
buyer, because here's the thing, it's like nobody knew that who represented
Right.
the buyer. They only knew who represented the seller. And then
Exactly.
if it's a
So
neighbor
do your sellers or do your buyers then let you leave it up for a week or whatever it is or a long weekend?
oh, a few weeks.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, because then you can door
Nice.
knock and call around it and people see it and that's
Right.
you know?
Nice. Now do you get some good leads off of that or good business from that too, have you found?
I mean, it's the same as when you're
It's nice when you have a sign up just because it does generate some interest and it gets your name out
exactly.
there too.
Yeah,
So
it's the same as any kind of door knocking or whatever.
right, right.
Yeah,
Okay. No, that's good to know.
but the point is also to get more listings.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the case we're going to talk about today is advertising role in sales after changing firm affiliation. So again, this is when you are at ABC Realty and you're going to move to XYZ.
You're gonna move
And
to
what can you?
you mean?
You're
No.
going to what?
Move to EXP.
There you
Right.
go.
Okay,
You're going to
okay.
move and you want to still talk about what you sold in the past.
Got
So
it.
I thought this was really interesting because there's two cases that I looked at on this one, and with a very small adjustment in how you handle it could change how you're found in violation or not.
Wow.
So this one is really interesting. So, all right, Realtor Q was a non-principal broker licensed with ABC Realtors. Realtor Q specialized in buyer representation. A prominent feature on her website carried the headline, "I sold these and I can help you buy or sell too." Hey,
Okay.
whatever works. Right.
Wow.
Under the headline was a list of over 100 street addresses of properties for which Realtor Q had found buyers. So Realtor Q is the buyer's agent, and on her website, then she's listing here's 100 addresses I represented the buyer in.
Okay.
For personal and professional reasons, Realtor Q chose to leave the ABC firm to affiliate with XYZ Realtors.
Okay.
As she transitioned to her new firm, Realtor Q was careful to disclose the name of her new firm in a readily apparent manner on her website. Her website also continued to display the list of properties she had found buyers for during her time with ABC firm. So she's made the change. Her website is now XYZ,
Okay.
and she's still got the list of properties she sold while at ABC.
Okay. Oh,
Right? Realtor Q's parting with ABC had been amicable, so she was surprised to receive a complaint brought by her former principal broker, Realtor C, alleging a violation of Article 12 as interpreted by Standard of Practice 12-7, based on her website's display of sales made while Realtor Q had been affiliated with ABC.
okay.
So, At the hearing, Realtor C, the complainant, noted that Standard of Practice 12-7 provides, in part, only realtors who participated in the transaction as the listing broker or cooperating broker may claim to have sold the property.
Oh,
It was ABC Realtors, Realtor C added, that was the selling broker in these transactions, not our former sales associate, Realtor Q. So, and when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, that's
I mean,
true.
that's how it is. Yeah.
It is how it is.
Hashtag apprenticeship program. Hashtag.
Right. Her advertising our sales under the umbrella of her new firm, XYZ Realtors, is confusing at best and potentially misleading to consumers who may get the impression that XYZ firm was involved in these transactions when that's not the case.
Okay.
Realtor Q defended herself and her website, arguing the fact that she had found the buyers for each of these properties listed on her website was still true, and that the only thing that had changed was her firm affiliation.
Hmm.
If it was true when I was licensed with ABC, then it's still true even though I'm now licensed with XYZ.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I mean, I think it's completely ridiculous. I think she should be able to advertise them because people hire the agent. They rarely hire the brokerage.
True. But then when you look at the
I
license law states that the listing belongs to the brokerage and we are strictly designated agents.
So it sounds like she's in violation. I agree. I just think it's stupid.
Right. I think it's crummy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So here's what the hearing panel on this one agreed that Realtor Q had in fact sold the properties, albeit while licensed with ABC. Her website, however, suggested that the sales were made while Realtor Q was licensed with XYZ, which was not the case.
Right.
Consequently, Realtor Q was found in violation of Article 12.
Boo.
So, yes. So, and I get it
It's
because
bad
again,
I get it too, but it's like bad
right.
business to be like suing your formal agent. Not suing, I guess. It feels like that.
Right. It's just there's a better way around it. So, in the other case that I looked at, the only difference between the two, where the other one was not in violation and this one was that there was a disclaimer put on the list of properties on that web page that said each of these properties was listed by Realtor P over the past 7 years. For much of that time, I was affiliated with another firm.
Oh, read that again, girl.
Done. Each of these properties was listed by Realtor P over the last 7 years. For much of that time, I was affiliated with another firm.
That's great.
Done. So that person there, which was a very similar scenario, was not in violation because they flat out spelled out, here's all the properties I've sold since I was licensed in 2000, whatever it was. Right now this is my brokerage, but these have been over the history of, and I've been at various brokerages over that time. So
Right.
that you're not saying, hey, it looks like all of these were through this company.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. One little sentence can change.
One little sentence, exactly. And that's
And
why
it's
when I
not
started
like
looking into both of these, yeah, it doesn't make sense that as a buyer's agent, you're forced to remove all the history you've done,
no.
and buyer transactions for 15 years. Doesn't
No.
make any sense. So what's the logical way to do that so that you're still in compliance? But then you can still make sure that you can advertise your history. Because if you
Right.
go on a listing appointment or a buyer appointment and they say, okay, what have you done in the last 15 years? Well, I've been with this brokerage for 5 minutes. I've done 3.
I've done
There's a huge difference between that and what you've done over 15 years.
exactly.
So
So
as long as you're straightforward, because if you showed that to your grandma would not be confused.
right. Well, right. But I mean, the thing is too, I get it and I totally understand, but like, are they actually like even reading that? It's in fine print, right?
I know. Right. And I guess the other issue too that we see in some of these things is when the fine print is so fine that
Mhm.
you have to take a microscope to get out and read it.
Yeah, magnifying
There's
glass.
one,
What you're
it doesn't even make any sense. I
right.
was in Illinois where I'm at, when you look at a brokerage sign, the name of the brokerage has to be the same size as your personal name or larger. So it can't be smaller.
Right.
There was a sign that I saw at a property and I took a picture of it because if this was the sign,
Uh-huh.
the agent's name was the entire thing and the
Yeah.
brokerage was a half inch in the corner that you had to get out of your car and get about 4 inches from it to be able to read it.
Oh, wow.
There's no way on God's green earth that somebody knows who that person belongs to when
Right.
you have the brokerage size is this big.
So tiny. Yeah, that's
So
true.
tiny, right?
So can you give us an example? Because we've never talked about this. What's an example of like some of the fines? How do the fines work? Is the board just make them up or
Well, there's a citation program that was rolled out a handful of years ago for certain violations.
Citation program. In order to
Right.
get
It's like
fun.
you're getting a ticket, right? You're getting a ticket. And those are for things that are very cut and dry, very black and white. So, for example, a situation like that, you took a picture of a sign and said, I'm submitting this anonymously. And you can submit anonymously through the citation program.
Mhm.
And if you do that, there's nothing you don't need a hearing panel to have discussion and testimony to determine whether or not the
It's
name
big
of the
enough.
brokerage is here, right? So for certain things, there's the citation program is an option. So
Okay.
you can submit anonymously through that, and there's certain dollar amounts attached to each one of those things based on the violation and
Mhm.
based on whether or not you've been there before. So repeat offenders, or what we call frequent flyers, are subject to higher fines because they've been
Is
there
it like
before.
a DUI where what is it? Or is it DUI? Whatever, where you're 3 and then you lose your license or something?
It depends. There's a whole manual that we go through when we come after we go through executive session and determine whether or not they were in violation. Then we're able to ask the staff member if they had been there before. So if
Okay.
they've been if they're a repeat offender or frequent flyer, we know about that before we issue sanctions. So the sanctions will vary based on the severity of the issue, the
But if
severity of the
if they've
violation.
been there, like, say they've been there, like, 3 times, is it like an and they're found in violation again, is it like an automatic loss of license?
That's a good question. I would imagine that there are some violations that if you've been there a couple of times and you've done the same thing over and over and over again, that may be an option. Most of the hearings that I'm in are either non-repeat offenders or somebody who has been there for something else that was somewhat unrelated. I
Got it.
haven't been in there yet where somebody has been a repeat offender
Hmm. Oh,
to the
that's
point where they've, yeah.
it's probably a lot of
I have
not
seen.
knowing. Intent is most of it, I imagine, like, not intentionally. Some people
Right. Well, and I mean, I was on one not too long ago where an agent went to show a property, and it was a horseshoe street, and it
Mhm.
was very confusing in terms of the numbers of the properties and the addresses, because when you got halfway through the horseshoe, the numbers repeated themselves but a different
Oh,
street name. It
oh,
was very bizarre.
that's weird.
So the intention was not at all there to walk into the wrong house.
Oh,
So the mirror image house, which mirror image in terms of property address number, but not nearly the same in terms of price, condition, upgrades, and all that stuff. The agent walked into the wrong house.
oops.
The alarm went off,
Oh,
continued to show the house,
oh.
never apparently realizing he was in a house that was priced 150,000 over where he was supposed to be. It went to a hearing, and he's like, well, I don't know. I just walked into the house, I showed the house. It's like, well, the alarm was going off. Did that not, that trigger a thought that maybe I'm in the wrong place? No, I didn't check the sign. I didn't check the picture. He didn't print a listing sheet out to say, am I in the right place or not? So there was no intention to violate anything, but just the fact that the way it was handled was completely nuts.
Right.
He was found in violation.
Those
It was
are
it was
the
like
ones we
watching a
wanna
circus.
do. They're real
It was
funny.
like watching a circus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine it is.
Right,
Alright.
because typically if I pull up to a house, I'm going to look at the listing sheet and go, yeah, that's the same agent that's listed on the sign, same agent here. I'm in the right place, yes,
I mean,
before I
there's
walk in the
some
door.
clues, especially if, like, the
Yes,
addresses are wonky and they're, like, across the street from each other. It's like,
right,
"Mm, there might be
right,
I better check."
right. But if I walked into the house and the alarm started going off, I'd probably think I might be in the wrong place,
Right,
or
or
maybe I should at least walk out the front door and make a phone call.
and be like, "Can they turn the alarm off?" And then find out that you're in the wrong
Then you
place.
find out and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Not,
Right.
I'm just going to keep showing. We'll just take our tour. Just plug your ears.
That's hilarious. Alright, Rachel,
Right.
well, if somebody has a referral for you in Chicago, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way to reach me is on my cell phone at 630-542-8688, or you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/RachaelRealEstate.
Perfect. Thanks, Rachel. Bye.
Thanks, Jen. Always a good time.
Yep.